I'd like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for 18 February 2026. Members in attendance tonight are Karen Metter, Cheryl Thompson, Andy Hillman, and me, Steve Morielli. I don't see Jonathan yet.
He said he was coming. I spoke with him.
Is that him right there?
Probably.
And it sounds like Jonathan Ferrari is joining us right there. There he is. Hi, Jonathan. And our recorder is Lori Asper-Schlager, who will be documenting our proceedings tonight. Town board liaison Liz Weatherby is in attendance, and Caitlin Olson, our town supervisor, is joining us remotely. Yes. Also, I see online is our planning board member Linda Little. Linda, can you hear us? I want to do a sound check and
yeah, you sound fine.
And you guys can see us okay this time?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. Before we continue, does anyone have anything they'd like to contribute to tonight's agenda? I think that is a no. Okay, the first item on the agenda, and this time we are doing it, is the review of the meeting minutes from 17 September 2025 and from 21 January 2026. I'd like to invite any edits, corrections, or questions regarding the minutes from 17 September first. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, pen or pencil? Pen.
Well, yeah.
It's you, fancy.
Okay, thanks. I did have something about this one.
Yep, go for it.
It was the first one.
This is the 17th September, right?
Yep. Did not mean to do that, sorry. Was at the end of the first case.
Yeah, I saw that last sentence.
Sorry, I'm having trouble on the cell phone. I was looking at it on a bigger screen at home.
Was it here?
Yeah, thanks, paper. Yeah.
I don't know if you caught the same thing I caught there.
Oh no, that was not it.
Okay.
But that's good. Right, you got that one. Okay, yeah, right here.
Or what was your
Okay,
correction?
so that is the very last pair. Oh, right before conditions of approval.
On page 711.
For the reasons set forth above and upon the evidence, law, and facts, the BZA hereby does grant the area variance to decrease the front yard setback from 40 to 20 feet. And I really think we should have that number in there that it's already existing at 21 foot 1. This looks like a huge number.
Yep.
And really, it was already existing.
Yeah,
at
no, I'm
21
fine.
foot.
I'm fine.
So,
we said that a number of times too.
Yeah, but this is the part that someone's going to read, so it should be in there.
Okay, so tell Lori what the changes.
For all
Are
three
you
of
with
those.
us on that, Lori?
No, are you talking about the September meeting?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's one of the
Page
resolutions.
7.
Which resolution is it?
The first one.
18.
Well, it's the
Oh,
resolution of the night. There's 2, right?
do you have page numbers on the bottom of yours? Copy, Lori?
Yep, so which page?
7.
Yep, okay.
And then
Which number?
page number 7.
Number 18.
Do you see the number 18 there? Okay, so then under that, it says for the reasons set forth above.
Yep.
And then there's 3 variances there,
Yes.
and 2 of them were really small. It says that the setback was changed from 40 to 20 feet, 6 inches, but it was really already the building was already at 21 foot 1 from the line. And so I just like to, and that's stated in other places, but I think it's important to have that.
So what do you want to say? What is she?
Carried
What
forward
should she write?
Okay, does it?
What about does grant the area variance to decrease the current front yard setback, which is 21?
Well, I think they probably want this 40 feet in there because that's the law.
those are the laws.
But you could just say from 40 feet to 20 feet, and then in parentheses, given
The current setback?
the current setback, or no, given the current location.
Existing location.
Yeah, existing location is at or no, given the building given the existing building is 21'1" from
Front yard setback.
the property line, I guess it would be,
State which one though.
yeah. Or maybe just say the change is only 7 inches. It's just how do you make that clear? I guess they're trying to keep it concise here. But maybe, all right,
Which
same
which is
thing.
a 7-inch decrease in the current setback. Like you said, just put a comma and say which is a 7-inch decrease from the building's existing setback.
Oh, Niels, yes?
Okay.
You
gonna help us?
Yeah, so, thanks. I just want to make sure you all are, reiterate a comment made by legal previously in that if you're making corrections with Lori on as far as clerical scrivener errors, that's okay. But if you're substantively changing language in a resolution that you've already approved, you can't do that unless you reopen and renotice the hearing. So if it's just something like a scrivener error, like if something says feet and it should have said inches, and that's, you can argue that, that's one thing. But if you're substantively changing the language in your resolution that you've already approved, you can't really do that.
Yeah, it's not changing the resolution. It's just making sure it goes longhand instead of the shorthand that's here where, where it spells out what really happened. It's not, we're not changing the decision in any way or interpretation. It's just, it got cut short on these last three, like where it's actually really important. So would you consider that a substantial?
That was probably it's the copy and paste of a resolution though. It wasn't like minutes.
So Niels, here, you consider this to be a substantial, what I'm talking about? Substantial change?
So the resolutions that you all deliberate on and then get the okay for Lori and then Steve signs off on those are, set in stone. So if you're changing language, that's not scrivener error. The board really should not be doing that unless you reopen the hearing.
Okay.
Well, I certainly don't think that's necessary. The entirety of the minutes are clarifying on that issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think we got it covered elsewhere throughout, so I agree. Thank you, Niels.
Thank you, Niels.
So no change on that one, Lori.
Okay.
Any others?
No.
I have a few smaller ones. I think let's go to page 1, back to page 1. In old business item, the first one, the third paragraph, fourth paragraph. The end of that, the last sentence basically, per CTU 212-156A, non-conforming buildings may be destroyed and rebuilt, but may not be taller or larger than the footprint of the existing building. That okay? I was having trouble reading that earlier, but I think I'm okay with it now, right?
Yes.
May not be taller. Scratch that word. They're good. I just read that wrong earlier. Page 5, and actually it goes back to that, what you just said, Cheryl. Now, therefore, the board zoning appeals resolves the following, and it says, as the current setback for the non-conforming structure is 21 feet, 1 inch, so the change is only 7 inches. I think the "so" is an extraneous word, is it not?
Oh, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I think it actually is maybe better with the "so."
Really?
Setback.
You have "as" up front and you put "so" later on?
Well, you're the one who edits college
Which-
papers all the time, so you probably are more up on your grammar than us. but it
Yeah,
Doesn't
which
bother
is-
me.
Where is it exactly?
It is the beginning of the now therefore the Board of Zoning Appeals appeal resolves the following. So it's page 5 and it's number 1. So I'd say get rid of the as or get rid of the so, one or the other. You guys pick. I don't think the as is necessary.
Okay, it's the ads could get cut if that's a legal thing to do.
You okay with that? The current setback for the non-conforming structure is 21 feet, so the change is only 7 inches.
Perfect.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So there as is going. Okay, next page is page 6. I think number 5 was at the top of the page. It's number 5, the last sentence. The mature tree in proximity will be preserved subject to condition of approval. I think it was the mature tree in close proximity. It was pretty specific.
Which page?
Page 6 of 11. And it's the first, number 5, the first resolution.
These are all changing a resolution. No, the actual minutes.
The way they're written.
Mhm.
And,
We just talked about
It can only
changing the
be
resolution.
Scrivener error.
well, I think,
Or what was the other thing, Niels, besides Scrivener error?
Scrivener errors, you said, basically. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that, guys. I feel like some extra words got recorded in sometimes.
Niels,
Yes.
what did you say? It can only be changed if it's Scrivener error or something else? What was
The
the-
recommendation from legal was that Scrivener errors only.
Only, okay.
Okay, I'll let that slide then. That's not something I'm gonna worry about. Page 7 of 11. Conditions of approval. And number 2, a rain garden will be blah, blah, blah. To mitigate the effects of the additional hard surface. I think we said hardened. I'm pretty sure I didn't say hard.
Hmm.
That's all I have. Andy, you were not here then, correct?
Right.
Karen, do you have anything?
No.
Good. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll move to accept these minutes.
Thank you. Second?
I second the
Yeah,
motion.
good, okay. I'm gonna call the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
You still have the right to vote.
Oh,
but-
one night.
Okay. Well, we've covered that one before.
Yeah.
Okay, that was all in favor? Motion passes, thank you. Let's move on to the next minutes where more of us were here, I think.
Not me, right? Was it last week?
Yeah,
Oh,
you were
last
you
month,
were-
yeah,
you
mhm.
were not here. Okay, I
All
have
right, so I'd
one.
like to invite the corrections to the, or questions regarding the minutes from January 2026.
I did have one part that wasn't making sense to me. It had the 24 in it. Where is that? Can I see the paper one?
Sure.
The 24. Okay, there it is. Page 3. Morel has some concerns about the height, 24 feet, with a legally non-conforming building by expanding the staircase and adding height, both increasing the size required. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know
Not me, nor me.
what's happening there.
That's why I have a
Okay.
big question mark on
I
it.
don't know how to correct it actually, because I don't know what was trying to be said there.
I don't either. This is not a resolution, by the way.
Right.
We can change it. And so let's do yours first. There's some concerns about the height with a legally non-conforming building by expanding the staircase and adding height, both increasing the size requires variances.
Okay, if you put some commas in there, I think it can make sense now.
Increasing, is it, I mean,
Yeah, both of those things increase the size.
but it starts with a legally non-conforming building by expanding the staircase and adding height,
Both with comma, both increasing. Size.
both increase.
So
Both
something like
increasing
that.
size. Yeah.
Was are you getting? Do you know how to fix that? Or
I added some comments.
okay, did that work?
I mean, I'm asking you, does that work?
I don't know. Where'd you add
Not
them?
quite. I mean,
With
increase
a
is-
legally non-conforming building, comma, by expanding the staircase and adding height, comma, both increasing the size requires variances, or I can just change that. The increasing the size. I can remove that. The words increasing the size.
Expanding the staircase and adding height increases the size and requires variances, I guess. I know that the point was it was two
Okay,
variances.
so take out the by. Try taking out the by.
Oh, okay. Both
Expanding the
increases.
staircase and adding the height both increase the size. Oh,
Both increase the size and
and
require
require variances. How about that?
require variances. Yes, that's yep. I like that.
All right, did you get that?
Yeah. So with would you take out?
Okay,
you
so
took out the by.
we took out that by.
Okay. With legally non-conforming building, take out by.
Mhm.
Comma, expanding the staircase and adding height.
Both increase.
Mm-hmm. The size and require
Requiring
variances.
variances.
Yeah, require. Okay,
I got it.
great. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's all right. I talked to you before about changing the language over on that page, right around there. The paragraph right above that is owner
Yep, I changed
as
it to
opposed to
the,
the, and then the next paragraph down is
I changed it to the
suggestion,
board.
recommending building as
Yep.
opposed to this recommended. Okay, good. Thank you. And if you flip the page while we're there, page 4, the one that starts with suggestion, so second paragraph,
Yep, I changed it to the board.
and then down later in that sentence, I think you have a than instead of a then.
In that same sentence, okay.
If the plan was to only build higher, then only one variance would be needed.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, got it, okay. And then the other ones are taken care of. There was one earlier though, I think. Let me look at this. Yes, go back to page 2. And we're at 1, 2, third paragraph, Mark Sherman spoke. Okay, second sentence, concerned that the high volume of foot traffic and road traffic. Is that a comma? That should be a comma? Is that a comma?
I changed the word that to about.
You changed what?
The word that to about.
He was concerned about the high volume of foot traffic, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and then he would like to see. Instead of would. The sentence is. I think if you continue that sentence, he would like to see the driveway to be blacktop and not gravel. and I think you need an and in there, and an added ditch for runoff. Okay? Otherwise, that's it for me. Sorry, guys, to bring small stuff into it, but nice job overall. It was a tough one. Okay with the rest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks.
All right, so I'd like to, that's a motion on accepting the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes for January 21st.
And we have a second. Okay, call the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm fine with them, but I wasn't present to confirm the content.
You can either abstain or vote one or the other when you're not present.
What is preferred?
Don't know.
It doesn't matter.
No
We had a
preference.
ruling on that. And
I guess I'll
You
abstain
don't have to
since
be
it's
there.
not
Okay.
needed.
All right, great. Good. So the motion carries. Thank you.
Steve, can I ask one question?
Pardon?
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Looks like the BZA vice chair, this vote was tabled.
It was, and it's not on the thing this year.
I was gonna say, do you want to do that tonight or you want to wait till the next one?
I think I want to talk to people first. So, thank you. Thanks for that. I thought about that earlier. I thought, let's, now that we got the gang together, let's talk about it.
Make sure you recommend somebody who wants it.
Yeah, for instance. Yeah, we recommend, no. Okay, let's get moving along then. First item of old business is a proposal by the applicant, the town of Ulysses, on behalf of the owners Marvin and Allison Pritz, who applied for a minor subdivision for the subject site to subdivide the existing 16.58 acre lot into two lots. Parcel A approximately 1.37 acres and parcel B approximately 15.21 acres. Proposed parcel B would be a flag lot with a proposed width of 38 feet for the pole portion of the lot, where 50 feet is required per the Code of Town of Ulysses, CTU 212-130.a. The address of the lot is 5230 Cold Springs Road with the parcel number 12.4-19.2. So I see we have Mr. Pritz, looks like is online there, and is the appellant or the representative from the town of Ulysses here, and who's presenting?
I can.
What was the intent?
I just didn't know if Caitlin was in a spot to be able to.
Okay.
I'm in probably the quietest spot in Disneyland, and it's not that quiet. So sorry about that, guys. I am here though if there's specific questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks. That's great. So, Liz, you want to present? Any updates? What happened since the last time we?
I think the only update really is that the planning board met 2 weeks ago to discuss this based off of your recommendation request for them to review the variance. There was a lot of good discussions about width and is there enough space to put everything that we want, including the sidewalk and the fence. And Neil's confirmed that there is no requirements for setbacks within the pole. All the setbacks required are up in the flag lot. So then there was a couple discussions about do we meet the setbacks? But the town board the planning board unanimously approved the recommendation to grant the variance. So we're back here for the public hearing tonight.
Correct.
And happy to answer any other questions you guys have. I know Caitlin, supervisor, had provided a good presentation the last time. I know Karen and Andy, you weren't here. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And so, yeah.
I have questions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a good time to ask that.
Signage. We wanted, a long time ago, we felt like, maybe the word didn't get out about variances enough. And we noticed that Ithaca posted a sign for variances going before the BZA in the city of Ithaca. And also we expanded the distance for notification. Is that right, Steve?
Mhm, we did.
500 to 1,000, something like that.
Yeah.
So because we found that there were neighbors often who were just beyond that, who, you know, had direct impacts, possible impacts on variances that we were considering. So was this posted?
Yes, it was.
Because I went by there and didn't see the sign. I went by there tonight and didn't see it. A couple of days ago, it was laying down and covered with snow. And so I don't think that we followed the intent and the spirit of notification to the public on this. And I would move that we postpone the vote on this until March and post it again and keep it up there properly this time.
The notice was posted on the 7th of February.
Posted where?
At the
He's talking
property.
about the sign. You mean
Yep,
the sign.
at the property.
Right.
Yep,
Who-
we have an
who posted
affidavit.
I posted it. I posted it personally.
There was an affidavit of posting that's included in the packet for tonight.
Mhm.
So I'm just
And I
saying, I
would
can
leave
show you
it-
photos that, you know, where it's not visible.
Yeah.
Since that we're taking subsequent to the 7th. So I don't think that we followed the intent and the spirit of our procedures. And in this case, especially with the town being the appellant, when the applicant or appellant,
Or the applicant.
we should, you know, set the standard. In
I
other
don't
words,
disagree
for-
with that. I don't disagree with that. I think I would argue that we did, and we can confirm whether the public notices went out, Niels.
Yeah, so let's talk about all the other ones first, and then we'll do a piecemeal thing.
Okay.
But the notice was sent out to people in the surrounding neighborhoods, correct? Is that correct, Niels?
500 feet is the law, yes. And that's what
They were sent out.
500 feet?
500 is
500
what we-
feet.
yeah.
That's what we changed it to.
Mhm. Okay, and then we also got, I counted 14 letters from the public, and we've had quite a few people here talking about that. So some public is certainly aware. I don't think you're disputing that the sign went up, but you're saying it was not posted.
Wait, this was the other day, you know.
Yeah, no, I saw that. You're right.
Maybe a snowplow knocked it
I was
down.
gonna
That
say,
was a
there's a
time
variety of
frame
reasons
there.
that
A
could.
couple of
yeah,
mailboxes
it's-
got hit on Cold Springs Road recently, during the, apparently, maybe by snowplow, maybe not, I don't know. But, the sign is back far enough, maybe the snow from the plow knocked it over possibly. In any case, it's up to the town to maintain that sign being, you know, posted properly for the time that's appropriate. And so again, I would ask that we postpone the
But
vote tonight until next month.
anyone within 500 feet was also
Correct.
notified directly
Correct.
through mail.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's right.
And there was a notification in the newspaper
Right.
and the posting on the website.
Great, we did almost all of it right.
I know. Yeah, we had a pretty lengthy discussion on that, and we are all like, yeah, that's okay. 500's fine, but what if you're 501 feet and it actually impacts people? You know, we just had a long discussion on this, and I hear what Andy's saying. So we all really like the idea of having it posted right on the property.
What would
It
be
was
the
unanimous.
downside of waiting till 1 month till March? Is there any problem with that would affect our scheduling or anything?
I mean, it would delay everything 1 month in terms of getting the subdivision approved with the planning board, because we can't get the subdivision with the planning board until the variance is granted. And then we'd have to officially file, we wouldn't be able to officially turn the property over to the towns.
So planning board has to approve this in March anyway, right?
Yes, but their meeting is before.
When,
ours.
and when, yeah, do they meet before we
Yeah,
do
before
next
us,
month?
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
It'll be at the beginning of the month, the 1st and 3rd Tuesday.
Mhm.
Yeah, well,
the
it
opposite
could
of town
then
board.
easily be approved at the beginning of April, plenty of time for construction season, I think.
It's just being.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we're not looking to start, we're far from construction, just to be clear, for you guys and the town, the people
Right.
public. We're not looking at constructing until we still have to get fundraising, there's still gotta be plans developed So we're not looking to start construction.
That was my next question. I apologize for not being here last month, but is there a plan for the road going in a 38-foot space? Is there a drawing I could look at?
We don't have any drawings. Like I said, we don't.
How wide would the
20-foot road.
portion, 20?
20-foot road.
And then that would leave 18 feet, maybe 9 feet on either side, right?
Yes.
And
we
we
would
don't
actually,
have to give a foot for the fence? So the fence could be right directly on the property line?
yes.
On one side only.
Yeah.
The other side
Yes.
is the
So would it be better to have the vegetation outside the fence or inside the fence?
Well, what the vegetation, you mean in terms of the screening
The
vegetation?
screening vegetation, yeah.
We're not proposing vegetation along the
No
driveway.
screening vegetation there?
With the pet, we're looking at doing the fence. If we need to supplement to make it green with accordance with discussions with the neighbors, that could be worked out. Most of the screening that is required is on the back side where the property owners are going to look out into the field, which is currently a field. It'll eventually be the park.
So are there drawings for that screening?
No. No,
Um,
we don't have money to hire consultants to
Anything
do the
roughed out
design.
at all, like with it in-house even?
There's a concept plan that Design Connect, because we worked with Cornell, Design Connect in the
Right.
fall as one of their programs they took on the park. And there's a draft concept plan that went out for review and we've had it at some open houses. So that is available, but it's nothing it's just a concept plan. But yes, what it looks like is a fence with the sidewalk, because we want to be able to
5
provide
foot?
sidewalk. Yep, and then the driveway would be next to it,
So
all within the,
it's jammed in there pretty good.
It's
you know?
jammed, but
I mean,
it's-
the
there's space.
20-foot roadway for, say, 2 school buses going by each other
there's,
is pretty tight.
yeah, but remember, this is not for school programs. The intent is for this is non-school programs. School has their fields.
Nobody's
would-
gonna come in from some other town or other part of the county with a bus full of kids.
Most of the teams that I've seen, soccer, baseball, football, anybody that could be coming to this as a recreational team, parents drive.
Minivans.
Yeah, minivans, SUVs.
So we're talking about maybe a 20-foot paved surface,
Mhm.
5-foot paved sidewalk. I see that the town highway superintendent doesn't like porous asphalt. We can maybe get into that a little later.
Mhm.
And then,
I was waiting for you to.
yeah, so, yeah, I'm just, I've been making my own drawings here, rough cut drawings, and it's really, really a squeeze. The ditches, drainage,
Yep.
there's a lot of concerns that would have in that narrow lot. I think for a lot of times we see flag lots like this for a residence. So it's a driveway going back and then it opens up and there's a residence there perhaps, and this is a different animal. Though.
Yeah.
It's,
You can-
it's
this
more
is-
of a highly heavier use. So even though it's 25% variance, it's substantial variance. If it was a residence and it was a driveway going in, I would not have all these concerns that I feel like I have now.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at the Trumansburg Gun Club.
Yeah,
That's actually a single. That's smaller than 20 feet.
I've driven down it.
Yeah. So it would be, we'd have wider space than they provide, including a sidewalk and appropriate draining.
That's private property. Right,
The Trumansburg,
Trumansburg Golf, Gun Club, yeah.
yes,
And, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they still want to have an ambulance be able to get back in there. if
Of
they need
course.
one.
20 feet is the standard.
That's-
20 to
For a
22.
village street.
yes.
Yeah.
All the
So-
streets in Trumansburg are 20 feet wide, so
Yeah,
there's
and
plenty of
this is a
space. for-
45 zone.
At
45-mile-an-hour zone. So
the
you're
moment.
making a turn into.
At the moment.
At the moment, okay. Got it. And that could be changed. It's a
We'd have to
town
file,
road?
that is a town road, we'd still have to file a request with the county, with the state to lower and change the,
Yeah, and signage for advising that there's a park
Yes.
entrance would probably be.
Yeah.
a good
yeah, I
idea.
would agree with
Yeah.
that. Caitlin has some.
Hi, I was just gonna pop in to say, Andy, in we don't have a drawing because we're not in the design phase, but the terms of the donation agreement have us having to install a fence on the non-Pritt side of the driveway before construction, or before it's open to the public. So that's built into the donation agreement, along with many other items related to mitigation, including the vegetative screening that goes along the rear portions of the residential property. So I did want to point that out. While we do not have fixed design plans, we do have requirements built into the donation agreement that are necessary before we can finalize construction on that.
We're talking about a 6-foot fence, Caitlin?
We haven't-
We haven't gone to the height, but it's intended to be screening. So 6 feet, 8 feet. I mean, that's really nuanced. Largely that component of the donation agreement came directly from a conversation we had with the adjacent property owners. We sat down, Liz and I were both there, and we sat down with the adjacent property owners to discuss mitigation efforts that would help make the situation better for them. And they requested a fence, and we agreed that was a good way to handle it. So that's embedded in the donation agreement, whether it's 6 feet or 8 feet. We'll work with them. We'll work with the Pritts, who we worked with on the donation agreement. We'll work with any bodies we need to execute it from the development side. But that is built into with the intention of it being a visual barrier between the driveway portion and the adjacent property.
I think the town of Ulysses zoning allows only a 6-foot fence.
Right. With a variance, we spent the
We could be back in
went up
front of
to
you.
8.
Okay.
right.
Oh, for
We
the deer.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that was in
got
that end.
So that could happen.
Well, variance too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
We'd have to come back in front of you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Which side of the road would the sidewalk go on, the east or the west side?
I think to provide the maximum spacing between the driveway and the property to the west, which would be the Sherman's property,
Mhm.
we would put it between the fence and the driveway closest to the Sherman's property.
Closest to the Sherman's.
yeah, where the fence is.
The Pritts own the house to the right,
Right. And-
so that's theirs.
Right, why don't we put the sidewalk over there?
Just it was to space out. I mean, we could do either if there's a recommendation, but the thought was to provide a little bit more spacing from the Shermans.
I guess the question would be, do you want more privacy from vehicle noise and exhaust?
Or pedestrians.
Do you want to avoid having pedestrians kind of loiter along your property border?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the closest to the fence, which would be on the Sherman side of the property, you probably you'd want to be further away from the house that doesn't have the fence on it. So there wouldn't be anybody potentially looking or whatever over there.
Well, that would give you space for putting vegetation.
But
on
we
that
could put
side.
vegetation on that
Yeah.
side so that we could offer screening from that owner. Pritts own that property, that's their renters.
Mhm.
So they're fully in on this discussion, and Marvin is here as well. But yes, the thought was to put it on the Sherman's property to give a little bit more space.
Thank you.
You leaving it there?
I'm not, I mean, I've
Yeah,
got.
what's your final recommendation?
Well,
I like the discussion.
Yeah.
Because we all care about it.
I think that there's enough room here possibly for a 20-foot roadway, 5-foot sidewalk, 6-foot fence to the west inside, but on the outside of the 6-foot fence, a vegetation, a hedge, an evergreen hedge.
For the Sherman.
Yeah,
For the
yeah,
neighbors,
so-
right?
So in other words, I'll take the fence and put it over here. On this side, have a sidewalk there, you know what I mean? I think that then you could end up with, some taller evergreens that would provide, you wouldn't see a bus possibly going by. Also would knock down some minor amount of sound, dust and stuff.
Mhm.
And again, this hasn't been designed yet, so all these considerations are well worth discussing. And
And we don't usually grant variances without seeing what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
No,
A little bit
you're
more
right
than
about
this.
that.
Or,
That's a reason why I'm not saying, no, we're far afield here, because we always get something, and then we usually say, we don't want to make a recommendation until we see the drawings, and we know, we understand, it's, you gotta put an expense forward to do
Yeah.
that. to come
We
up
also
with
need the
design.
subdivision approved before we can go after some funding, because we
Yeah,
don't,
right.
the town doesn't own that parcel right now until that subdivision is done. So right now, we can't do anything with that property because it's still under the Prince's name.
Okay.
So yes, it's,
Including architectural drawing or just drawing?
Can't do anything.
Site drawings?
Yep, can't get any fundraising grants or anything, because there's a lot of grants right now for parks. So we would like to try to go after some of those to get some of this money through the grants. But until that subdivision is happening and we own them, the town owns that land, it's hard to go after those grants.
I like Andy's vision, but I'm not sure where we stand with it. What's the, I like a hedge and definitely a fence and as far away from the other neighbors, as shielded as possible. I like all that.
yeah, I'm wondering if we could. I hear that you can't spend town money or apply for a grant to do this, but like working with. I'm thinking maybe a pretty rough plan. We have a lot of planners around. We might be able to get something done that would be conceptual, but kind of have to say, this is where the sidewalk goes on, this is where the vegetation goes, you know, something along those lines. Doesn't seem like a gigantic expense.
And then how does that come into our purview though? And then you say, what we normally say,
We would
we're
then-
approving this design.
Yeah, right,
See, we kind
exactly.
of lock it in once we do that.
Yeah.
I don't know
I-
how to lock
that's-
it in, actually.
I understand what you're saying, and maybe there's a way to get some concepts. The concept plan for that Design Connect did provide is on our town website. So you could take a look at that. Again, it's a concept plan, nothing's in concrete.
Mhm.
We can be flexible as much as we need, but is available online.
So
As
like,
long as the parameters of what's needed and the space work out where exactly things go is less important.
I think it'd be real important to the neighbors.
Right, but
what
that,
side,
but,
lean or-
but that would be discussion, I mean, absolutely, we need to discuss with them as the design is going forward that to, you know, get their buy-in. Right, like if they want, if they would prefer to have a fence, you know, evergreens and then a fence, so they're not looking at a fence, then fine, but if we're talking about, you know, you need 5 feet for this and 20 feet for this and 7 feet for this and 6 feet, as long as it all adds up, we can move it around, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling Andy a little bit that once, we're usually pretty strict about like, when we okay this, we're okaying the thing that we're okaying. And if we're not putting stipulations in or saying,
We won't
we
have
approve
an
the drawing as
Yeah,
is.
right, well, but we could say.
Because
like-
then anything
like-
can happen inside of that, that
Yeah.
approval. right?
Well, no, but that's why they're saying that as subject to this approval is that there's gonna be screening, there's gonna be a fence.
Yep.
There's gonna be a road.
No lighting.
No lighting, so we can
Like some
put
of those
in
things
all of the things
that-
that,
Stipulate.
we can stipulate those things, so we know that they're gonna happen, we just don't have to necessarily, you know,
Yeah, the site
have
drawings.
the site drawings, yeah, which
And
is,
those-
I think gives us more flexibility.
But we don't have any say after this, so.
Well,
Gives,
maybe
gives.
not.
Other than we're citizens.
Yeah.
Well, so just to the point, all those items that you just stated are all in the agreement.
I saw that.
So we cannot change those. We can't
Mhm.
add lights. We can't do
Right.
anything with that land except have a recreational
Is
park.
asphalt in the agreement with
No.
Marvin? No.
No, that's why we got that
No.
letter, because that came up in conversation. So I was waiting for you to
Right.
weigh in on that.
In terms of coming back,
Mm-hmm.
once we have a plan,
Yeah.
once we get to that point, we're gonna have to go in front of the planning board for site plan approval and seeker.
Agreed.
There's a chance we come back to you too. We don't know.
If
Hopefully
there's-
not.
if there's a
Hopefully we can
variance
do this
involved.
without any variances,
Mhm.
but there is a chance that we come back. So it's not necessarily that you won't
Sure.
see it as a board. And of course, yes, as public, you always, as
Mm-hmm.
as town members, you always have the right to provide comment on it.
This is a public hearing.
Oh, Mr. Sherman's gonna see.
Oh. No, to the public? Yeah, oh, no, not yet. I see you, Mr. Sherman. I'll get to you in a couple minutes, okay?
No worries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
I don't know when would be an appropriate time to talk about Scott's letter. I mean, I don't think there's a
No,
big
that's good. I
discussion.
mean, we're talking about details, so.
Yeah, so
I was all going home about the,
porous,
some kind of permeable surface, but.
yeah, we like permeable surfaces.
Yeah.
And a little over 20 years ago, I headed up a project in Ithaca to build a porous asphalt parking lot.
I remember the presentation you gave at Tumblr.
Oh, yeah. So it was right after Hurricane Katrina, the tail of Hurricane Katrina came through. I had the hole open and I called that my perk test, filled up, it went down. And this is 21 years ago now. We immediately put it on the deferred maintenance program. In other words, we never took a sweeper in there and swept out the dirt. It still works. And after 2 decades, most asphalt needs replacement anyway at that point. So this parking lot is performing. And if it's done well, in my experience, it works. I've been involved in other projects like this. And I know that I don't want to get into the details too much. I'd be happy to talk to Scott about it. But what we did was a 30-inch base of crushed stone.
Mhm.
That's 3 10-inch lifts compacted each time to full proctor
Wow.
density.
Gravel.
And then, so, it's gravel, it's stone.
Right.
It's not the most expensive part of a project usually. But, and then the right porous asphalt put down correctly, it lasts and it works. And that might make, because I'm trying to fit ditches into my little diagram or drainage somehow, and you start to, because if it's asphalt, it's gonna sheet off
So
there's gonna be a little more water than it has been historically.
That would obviate the need for ditch, right? I mean.
It might eliminate the need for
Okay.
ditching, maybe. So I don't think we should rule it out. And I hear what I've heard, all of the pros and cons over the years about it. And sometimes I feel like saying, well, what do you want to believe?
Well,
You're my guys,
Yeah,
but
you're
you
my
can
guys.
go down and look at this parking lot and see it. It's still there, right?
It sounds like there might be variation in technique that needs to be considered, because
Absolutely.
I've been at the upper Taconic
It's
Falls
falling apart.
and it's only been there probably 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
and it looks
That was
horrible.
a waste of our money, I believe.
It
I don't think it was done
it's worse
properly.
than it's worse than just gravel, because
Yeah.
gravel you could kind of smooth over.
Yeah,
This,
the porous concrete mostly.
yes, it's
But
horrible. I'd even argue it's dangerous right now.
I've seen porous concrete
Yes.
in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, they've got all kinds of porous concrete and it's held up over the years.
So-
So again, it's like pouring those Rice Krispie treats. It's not easy to screw that out.
I love that analogy.
It's hard to work with. Porous asphalt's not the easiest thing to work with either. But I just wouldn't rule it out. I'm also concerned that we're already saying, hey, if we do things maybe with all the bells and whistles, it's gonna be too expensive, so we gotta cut corners. I'm kind of reading that into this.
Well, that said it.
Permeable, yeah. I
So
would
is
say
that
this-
true? Is it more expensive? I mean, is it?
yeah, oh yeah,
Cost
it's
prohibitive?
cheaper, 3 10-inch lifts of crushed stone is, it's gotta be washed, you gotta have voids to take the water. So, you wanna have angular stone on stone, there are a lot of voids and it's like one compacted full.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm specialized ongoing maintenance, I haven't found that to be true, although I don't know if anything they could have done at the state park would have prevented what's going on up there. It's just,
And what about the maintenance? Is it possibly caused by salts to melt ice? Is it caused by a snowplow that
Yeah.
maybe is scraping the surface?
yeah, I did a talk about this parking lot at a winter conference in Charlotte, of all places. But it turns out that we use less salt on the porous asphalt part of the parking lot, because in the daytime, the water, you know, the sidewalk, the asphalt warms up, the water perks and goes in. On the traditional asphalt is sheets. It refreezes as soon as the sun goes down at 3:30 in the afternoon. Behind West Hill, it gets, you know, it gets cold faster. So we actually use less salt on the porous asphalt. It requires less salt. You have better traction. And, you know, I don't know if that had something to do with, I don't know what they used, you know, at State Park. There's different formulations for the asphalt.
So what's the plan? Is this gonna be maintained in the wintertime? The driveway?
Yes, to an extent,
Plow and all
there
that.
could be opportunities for cross-country skiing, which we don't have too many options for right now.
Really?
Well, Black Diamond Trail, we can get down there.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Golf course, technically, you're not supposed to be on, but I don't think we'll do. But in terms of just a question about the parking lot that you've installed this on, you've been successful with it. Is the parking area permeable pavement and the driveway?
The
Or
turning,
just-
not turning areas.
Okay,
You know, I think it's important that where people are going to be cranking their tires with the vehicle still, that can dig into, and you know, can dig into old asphalt, regular asphalt, but certainly porous asphalt, there's more open, you know, places for it to grip. But I don't see, people are going to be going straight through this. Nobody's going to be parking.
no, there's no parking, that's part of the,
Nobody should, it's not big enough to make a U-turn in.
no, it's 20 feet.
Yeah, you can do a 100-point turn.
I guess you
there.
could.
Yeah, right.
There's ditches on either side
You
of
don't
Old
wanna
Springs
do
Road
that.
too, so.
That wouldn't be good, but it wouldn't, you know, if it happened a few times, it wouldn't be the end of it, probably. Assuming every, you know, the porous asphalt's done in a way that lasts. I just don't know about these places that where it's failed, but you know, I wasn't there and didn't see what they did exactly. What's the base exactly, and what was the material like?
And the town
What
is
was the
not
temperature
looking,
that day?
right,
All kinds of
there's
things.
a lot of factors. The town is not looking to cut corners. We want to build this park for generations and generations. So, I think there's still plenty of opportunities for designs. I'd like to try not to get shoehorned into like one or two specific options, because it could be 5-10 years before we construct this. And who knows what's gonna be available at that point too. So,
Flying cars.
yeah, right?
Yeah, we don't need a driveway,
We don't even
right?
need a paved driveway. But what the thing, I think we are supportive of some kind of hardened road, whether it's pavement or permeable pavement, so, and not stone. Because yes, stone will have dust associated with it. Stone will have noise that would be louder by rolling up. Stone takes a lot of maintenance. We have a stone driveway at my house and we have to reline it every year with stone. We don't want to have to do that. So we are looking for some kind of hardened surface when we get to that point.
So Lisa, I really appreciate how much this has evolved. It went from, well, we're gonna get some land to all these agreements that you kind of already written into the, I guess, the agreement with the Pritzes?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So are you saying we should put another one in there? A stipulation? It's in our.
I'm not comfortable stipulating porous asphalt with without talking to our highway superintendent more about it. And,
Yeah, right.
because he seems to be, he's has an opinion about it, and he's got a lot of experience. But so do I. I managed public works for over a quarter of a century.
Yeah. And so I was like looking forward to hearing your opinion on this. Expertise.
I don't know about you mean stipulating porous asphalt, because I think we'd have to do a lot more than that. We'd have to really.
Me too.
Look into a lot of, like stipulate exactly how the base should be constructed and Now we're starting to
Like,
get into
well-
serious engineering.
We don't have to do that. Someone
No,
else will do that.
somebody
We
else
just
can do
say
that, yeah.
porous surface and then someone has to do it right. And I think it's a good place to try it. I know, I appreciate what the superintendent is saying, or whatever, but kind of small, it's kind of low, well, it's not low traffic, but it's not like a real road. I think it's a good place for us to try it out, and I've been wanting more of that for decades also, so
Yeah,
I'd
and
say
we-
that's, I mean, they can always come back if it's really not gonna work. So much so that they wanna deal with us again, they can come back and try to change that, like, just say it's not
Yeah.
gonna work, we can't do it, period. But we can put it on there and in 5 years, maybe something will come around it.
I wanted to say something about the purported cost. I think we're at such an early stage, and as you said, you gotta get money, and you're trying to get some money, but worrying about, oh, this would cost a little bit too much. That one,
There might
didn't
be funding
ring-
for something like that too.
yeah, right. That wasn't super convincing to me. I mean, I really appreciate the input from our superintendent, but I just think it's a little bit early in the process to be talking about, well, that could cost us some money. I don't know, I didn't feel like that was a real strong point at this stage. I do like the way you guys have dealt with the public comments about people's specific issues against it. I think I like the agreements that you made with the Fritzes, and so far so good. So what do you recommend at this stage?
Well, I like what Cheryl was suggesting, that we, that we specify using it, and then like, we don't have to draw up the drawings now, or, the 3
So using what's
widths.
the words, and then so you're saying that if we put words like that in, we could move forward tonight.
I'm still stuck on the sign. I wanted to see that. That was a big deal for me. I took a picture of that sign in front of Maxie's in Ithaca, and I thought, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It told everybody
Yeah,
that
right.
they were applying for a variance.
I remember we had a long discussion about
And,
that. I was like, yes.
And I kept looking for the sign here. It wasn't posted. I checked with Niels, and, he informed me that that was because it was, not going to be on the, voted on that. It wasn't a public hearing, it wasn't scheduled last
Before,
month.
right?
And so I thought, okay, but then I kept checking after it got posted, and like I said, the sign hasn't stayed up. It hasn't been visible to the public. And I think that of all the entities, that we should be the one that follows the letter of the law, so to speak. It's not a law.
We being the town.
We being the town, yes, the town is the appellant, and should, in my opinion, follow the rules to the letter. If that means the sign wasn't up there appropriately, put it up and start over at that point. That's where I'm at on this.
So we already asked
So I can vote, I'm ready to vote
yeah, I got
right
that.
now.
Yeah, of course, you can always do it. Right? But we've already asked the appellant if we delayed it by what you suggested earlier, a month, another till the next meeting, let's say.
Could we meet before planning board?
There's a couple
Well, so they
things.
meet the first and the third meeting. What day is your next?
Maybe
Third Wednesday?
You're always in that thing about 2 weeks, gotta give 2 weeks notice, right, before we even do this. And
Right.
then you gotta get the sign out there for those 2 weeks for sure, right, and make sure. But it was I was getting at, what was the cost, what would be the cost in terms of like real world issues that are caused by outcomes that are affected, and I'm not sure that you said anything substantial would
Well,
come of it, would it, if we delayed another few weeks? Okay.
maybe.
So then we'll,
I don't know. I think there are folks who are not happy with it, but they're not here, and I didn't see any letters from them either. Wait, this time.
there's probably one of them.
Yes,
Right.
then
And
there
he's
are
got Sam
letters.
upstairs.
That's okay, it's not the open portion yet.
The letters that you have
Yep.
as part of your package are the ones you received. We have a whole binder in the clerk's office of
Yeah,
all the
the ones
letters
that you
we've
got.
received from when we first started this project.
Yeah.
And there are some against them. There are a majority for it, but I think it's 100 to 6 or something like that.
Mhm.
But they are there. So yeah, looks like in March, planning board meetings are the 3rd and the 17th. Your meeting would be the 18th, so
Right.
then that would kick
You're always the night before.
the planning board to April. Which again, it's your choice. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, so.
So I would say, what would be done other than putting a sign up, and what else would you feel good about? Talk about, you want to get more information on forest services or after the superintendent?
Yeah, that, actually, yeah, that might be.
I mean, I think if we're gonna do this.
We really
we
would
should
want
do
to
it.
have Scott on board with this, because
We would, right?
if it's a top-down thing, and if it's not, if he's not, it's not gonna work.
And what we'll do usually is say, well, we really don't know enough, and we set up a meeting and go visit the site. So are you proposing we do that and talk to?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he
Scott, or-
means about the soil conditions. but
Yeah, and what about specific grading? There's a little bit of a slope
There's
toward the
hardly
back,
any,
right?
right, it's a slope down, slight slope down towards the back, away from the road, but. there's
Is
not-
that bad for permeable?
No, it's not, that's not much of a slope
It's
there.
not
I
much,
mean,
yeah.
the finished grade of the surface could be adjusted too, of course. But there is a little bit of a, tapers down a little bit. That's not, I don't think that's a problem. It's not perfectly flat.
I do believe Caitlin was actually spoke to Scott, if she might have some information on what this
Oh, yeah,
considered
she has her
soil
hand
is for.
Okay, we can, Caitlin, you have response to this, Caitlin? Have you heard us?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a fairly substantial conversation with Scott. I mean, I'd preface by saying I'm fine postponing the the public hearing. So if that's your decision, that's fine with me. It's the timing doesn't impact any construction work or anything like that. It does impact the Pritzes who've been going through this for now over a year. I do want to direct you, if you want to read all the public comments that have been received on this project, they are available and have been available on the town's website. We have on the right-hand side of our homepage, there is a spot for that's the Cold Springs Park donation. If you click on that, all the public comments received to the town board are available there. About 80% of them were in favor. So I just want to flag that for you if you want to see all the public comment. When I talked to Scott Stewart about permeable asphalt, he's not necessarily opposed to it, but he did flag some things that I think are important for consideration, many of which you've talked about here. There's an installation cost that can be considerably higher. We recently redid our back parking lot. The town board hasn't been opposed to permeable pavement, but the cost difference between redoing our back parking lot in asphalt versus permeable pavement, it was about $185,000 to do it in asphalt, and it was going to clock in at about $325 in permeable pavement. Those were the estimates that we received. So there was a cost difference on that. Scott also flagged the ongoing maintenance, which was less about salt and more about having the specialized equipment to actually vacuum it. And that's equipment that the town doesn't own. Again, we're not necessarily opposed to permeable asphalt, but I would want to flag that you're limiting us by requiring it or requiring permeable options, which will absolutely have an impact on the financial capacity of the town, right? Money is limited. And if that becomes a condition, then it's a condition we'll accept and work around. But Scott and I live in the world of trying to give high quality services to the public at a tax rate that people can afford, and we've really committed to trying to not put the cost of construction onto the community to raise the money outside. Ongoing maintenance costs, though, may have some impact and require more expenditure than just the simple building materials necessary. So I just wanted to flag that for you. I would love to see permeable asphalt in the parking area, which would not need to necessarily be plowed, which would help keep that down. So it's really, he was in talking to other folks. He's talked to the people at Teganic. We really did appreciate Andy's presentation to the town board. Scott reviewed that when he talked about permeable asphalt. So nobody at the town, I would say, is opposed to permeable. It's just it's not it's not necessarily as easy. It would be more limiting. So I just wanted to bring that. And if, you'd like him to come to the next meeting, I can do my best to do that. Or you can schedule something independently. So you can hear from Scott himself.
Thanks, Caitlin. I appreciate it. I heard what you said about specialized equipment like a vacuum street sweeper. And like I said, in my experience, the city's never run a vacuum street sweeper into that parking lot that we built back in 2005. And it still works. It doesn't take water the same way it did in the beginning. I think specialized equipment for this would be limited to a rubber cutting edge on a plow on a four-wheel drive pickup truck or something. But you probably want to have a rubber cutting edge. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a super high hurdle, but again, it is specialized equipment that we might not have. But yeah, like Cheryl was saying, that a few things here: the grade, the soil conditions. What is it about the soil conditions that we don't know about that would prevent or make it bad for porous asphalt or permeable surface there?
Well, I think the reality is that we don't know about the soil conditions until we actually have an engineer get in there to do the analysis. So I know on not on town projects, but I've worked on other, private projects where we've discovered conditions we weren't aware of. And it's not saying that those conditions are there. It's not saying it's not doable. But I don't think you can begrudge us wanting flexibility so that we can produce a project that's functional and lasting. And so those are, sometimes those things can show up in projects. Is he saying that he thinks that there are conditions that will trigger it? No, but we won't know that until we get into it. Every time I open up the ground, I find something new and unexpected, it feels like. So, those are just some general concerns about projects in general, not necessarily site specific to this particular project.
Yeah, that sounded, and then in the same sentence, use patterns anticipated for that portion of the property. So
yes.
The use patterns that I would anticipate for that portion of the property would be people driving in and driving out, not stopping, not parking, moving slowly in the roadway there to get back up or get in.
So
I don't understand that.
So to speak to that, I believe I sent it to Steve. I believe I included the link, but if not, I believe it's publicly available and Lori can get it for you. The planning board had a fairly robust discussion at their last meeting about this project, and they flagged concerns about the driving back and forth on it. A couple of the planning board members in particular spoke about it. So I don't want to speak. Certainly, I don't want to speak for them, but they raised concerns about it, and it may be worth watching that portion of the video or reviewing the minutes related to it. Because the planning board has concerns about permeable asphalt in that particular location on the driveway. They were less concerned about it theoretically happening in a parking area at the back. And so again, we'll do whatever we need to do to get to yes on this. But we're bouncing between two boards who may have very different opinions on the materiality, and the reality is we're not at the that kind of level of materiality discussion yet in terms of design plans, and we won't be until after this round is completed. So I just want to flag that for you.
And the whole idea of having porous or permeable would be, managing the stormwater. And that's a big part of it. So without that, then you've got to manage the stormwater a different way, and there's always an expense to that too.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. What they flagged and they had a really good discussion, in my opinion, as you have as well, on how the elements necessary to fit in that space could be worked together. And they were suggesting a French drain if non-permeable asphalt was used. So they did have that discussion. So if you have time to watch it before you meet next time, or if this extends into March, it's probably worth doing just so you can kind of appreciate the interesting position Scott and I find ourselves, right? In two different opinions on the materiality component.
Yeah, Neil sent us a link to that. Thanks, Caitlin.
Yep.
I would just add and think it's worth discussing. It already has to some extent. I know comments have been made that gravel would cause more dust and noise. Actually wasn't fully aware of that. But I think in addition to all the things that impact the town and its budget, the question is, how is this going to impact the adjacent affected property owner so that whatever is decided, there isn't negative, drainage of car oils and such into their property. You want to mitigate that as much as possible because they're being impacted. And kind of outside my expertise, but I raise that question to make sure it's being considered that whatever that road ends up being, that in addition to all the things we talked about, screening and fence, we also want to consider that we don't want any oil drips and things draining into their property.
Yeah, and I wanted to jump on that. Thank you, Karen. It is our purview, by the way, the environmental stuff, and I'm not sure planning board got a different set of mandates and all, but ours absolutely is to consider environment. Absolutely, it's one of the major things that we lean on here. We're consistent about it all the time. So that's a great point. What's going to create more issues, more runoff, more stormwater, more oils, more toxicants going into the neighbors or even into the ground there. We had a very similar discussion with the park in Jacksonville. Right. And that was a real sticking point. It was like parking on that driveway that was untenable because of all the same thing. So we're actually getting in the same area, same ground.
Yeah.
And that one got just halted completely because that was a sticking point. And I think that we, as a group, tend to really lean heavily on environmental.
Yeah, and we want to do this environmentally
so of course,
friendly
so
too.
it sounds like we're all aligned on
yeah.
that.
We're not looking to
and I think if it's a little bit, if it's more costly and all that, yeah, we got to weigh out what it really costs in all sorts of other terms other than just money. And I think those are not really acceptable costs of polluting the environment. I like what you said. I like what you said about then and now, that we need to be the best citizens. Really, we need to be really aware that what we do, we're leading in this. So just saying, it's going to cost money, so let's just put it in the hardened surface. I don't think it's a great way to
lead. Nobody is saying.
We want to be good representatives, right? So I'm leaning more heavily.
Yeah, the comment, observation that a porous pavement is not the only solution. Suggested maybe a French drain. I think there's other ones as well. And you have bioswale that can absorb runoff. That could also maybe be planted with screen, like a willow screen there's I think as a society for a long time we've relied on engineering solutions rather than and we're starting to see a shift there. And so I would say a porous pavement is still an engineering solution and not a solution. And I wouldn't want to tie us to something that when there may be a better solution, something that might be cheaper and do a better job environmentally.
So easier to maintain. Actually specifying some specific.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because we're not landscape, architects and engineers.
The other thing to the point too is I can imagine we have the fence, we have a sidewalk. We could put as a buffer between the pedestrians and the cars coming out, a bioswale, a grass filter strip in between, just to add a little bit more space so the curb is not just right up against the pavement.
Yeah.
So yes, just other options to think about.
Yeah, bioswales are great. A berm might be something we consider too.
Especially on I could see berm on the eastern side where against the Pritz's rental property.
Right, sure.
And then you can plant stuff on the berm and then you get additional height from the screen.
See, these are all great ideas, and we usually see the plans for these, and then we say, could you just tweak this a little bit, or could you do that? Or, that sounds really acceptable. Or come back with us with a revisit this. We'll revisit it if you modify the plans a little bit. But we're not getting that here, and so we're stuck, not being able to be too specific.
Well, maybe Neil
And-
can chime in too, but I imagine you can make recommendations for what you want to see.
Sure.
You want to see environmentally friendly solutions, best management practices to minimize runoff and pollution, to the joining property owners. You could add like whatever language around that to the recommendations, and that's what would be in the resolution that we would have to adhere to
Right.
going forward with any design.
I would like to go down a variance for this, knowing what it's going to look like, and we can't see, because of how it's timed out
Right,
and
yeah.
scheduled,
You do this first,
it's
then I'll
not
do
going
it.
to happen that way. Is there a way that we could approve this conditionally with a final revisit to give final approval to the plan once it's developed?
Well, we do conditionally all the time, but we usually
Neil's-
condition.
This would be conditionally
something
come
very
back.
stated. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Approved, you're approved, you got it.
I don't know if that will
but
help
might
you
have to
guys,
come
though.
back, I
Will-
don't know.
Will it help you
Legally.
then?
If you
move
approve the
forward?
subdivision, I mean, that's what we need to move forward with first, before we can get into anything else, is the subdivision and the actual transfer of the property from the Pritz to the
Mhm.
town. And then we can start going down the path.
And that subdivision.
So as
can
long
only
as we
happen
can get the
with
subdivision
flagpole-
approved, yes, we have to go back to the planning board
Flagpole though, right?
So
Yes.
we could approve the subdivision.
with the
that would-
variance. Well,
with the-
you're approving the variance
Yeah, that's from 50 to
On the
38.
flagpole.
on the flagpole to
But
allow
then
this.
could we then reserve approval of, once they have the variance for the width, how would they come back? There's no other variance.
That's right.
Niels, is there a mechanism that we can work with here?
So I appreciate the deliberations, all are really good. My recommendation is to keep in mind that the variance is in relation to a plat subdivision, right? Not the use. That's coming later.
Right.
I'm unaware of and I can check with town legal if you want, but I'm unaware of a procedure in New York state law that can grant, or where the BZA can approve a variance in this case to reduce a width of a pool with a condition that you get to further review it. I would say that you could add a recommendation to the planning board that when they get to the point of site plan review, you request that as part of their review, they kick it back to you for review and recommendations. So it'd be like a subsequent review by you guys recommending any comments and suggestions to the planning board for their final site plan review.
Niels, correct me if I'm wrong too, but when we have the site plan and we go in front of the planning board for the site plan, we're gonna have to redo seeker, correct? For the actual use.
Correct.
BZA be an interested party and have an opportunity to provide comment on that seeker documents? And the site
No,
plan?
no,
Will you need a
because
use variance?
Not us.
Well, you need
We
a
don't do
use
that.
variance though in the future.
We're hoping not, no. I mean, the intent is not to have a use variance at all, or an area variance.
Okay.
Okay.
Just an area variance is all that,
That would be us.
that would be us, and then there's no other variance that would be required in the future if this area variance
If
is.
this variance for the pole is granted, the intent would be
There
to
wouldn't be a
design
requirement
it in
for a
terms-
use variance of any sort, unless we're going to put a casino in there or something.
no, again, the agreement with the Pritzes for the transfer of the property is that this can only be used for recreational purposes. They cannot be used for anything else. That's very specific.
I'm a little bit uncomfortable with just saying, yes, we'll allow the pole to be the variance for the shortened, diminished pole. Because then that doesn't give us any say in anything other than as citizens.
Can we put a recommendation or ask for, rather than a prescriptive requirement, saying there's gotta be drainage, environmentally appropriate or best practice drainage system. In other words,
Yeah, what,
Not-
see, I'd be stuck on the one, you know, that sounded great, best management practices and all that, but that's a little bit. Broad.
it is, right, and that the idea is that, I mean, and this is how, you know, energy code works, right? You've got to get to an R40, they don't tell you how, right? You can use whatever
Yeah,
legislation
just get
you
there
want,
somehow,
right?
so I like it, but I
So
like
the idea is
words.
performance rather than, you know, you're
Yeah.
asking for performance rather than prescription.
So we have to actually write the words down to make a condition, so what words would be going? I like that.
Whatever,
notion.
yeah, whatever the concerns are, so that stormwater management be dealt with appropriate way that.
Stormwater DMTs, you know, that, again, that's just pretty,
Those words, yeah.
Well, it's hazy, but it's giving the designers the flexibility to do the job, right?
Right, that's where I'm.
They're the specialists.
We want them to have flexibility, but we don't want them to have too much.
And we are gonna be impacting more than an acre here, so we're gonna have to get a construction general permit from the DEC, so we're gonna have to follow the blue
Yeah.
book and all the
I
state
sort of feel like
requirements,
there's-
which are getting more stringent and promoting more green practices every year. They get stricter and stricter.
I know that the joint neighbors had his hand up for a long time, and we're not ready for that yet, but I am interested in hearing what the neighbors said, because I think if it was, and I'm just saying, if this was me, I would prefer to have a screen, an evergreen screen on a berm, and then on beyond that, a fence. So that the fence was actually screened from me by a berm and the vegetation, then 20-foot roadway and a 5-foot sidewalk as you go to the east, to the house that Marvin Nelson to the east. I'd be curious to hear what Mr. Sherman.
We can open that, I can
Yeah,
open
let's
that
do
up right now, in fact, I think Mr. Sherman, if he's still there and hasn't fallen asleep yet, but I want to open the public portion of the meeting right now and definitely allow for Mr. Sherman to put his comments in. So if you're there, Mr. Sherman, please.
Hi there. I just want to say thank you. This has been a great conversation tonight. I think this is the first time it's really slowed down and had a conversation about what's going on. I think you're all fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and concerns on everything that's going on. I did want to address, though, when we talk about the screening, we were under the impression, just kind of in conversations and things that have been said, we're just talking about a fence right now on the roadside. However, if this does go forward, screening on two sides of our property should really be what's happening, because yes, you can screen from the road, but also we definitely don't want people wandering in from the park on the backside. So a combination of vegetation and fencing, and, you know, kind of to Andy's point, what he made earlier is, you know, the fence and vegetation for the neighbors is the least glamorous part about this park. So when it comes down to money and cutting costs and things, you know, we don't want it to be skimped on there. And then, you know, back to the design thing, exactly. Kind of like to see what is going to be there. What are you making the decision on? Is the town completely done with the Design Connect, or can they draw up something, you know, to look at? So those are my concerns. Like I said, you kind of know our feelings and thoughts and everything that we've expressed before. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Is there anybody else out there while we're opening the discussion to the public? That would leave Marvin. Mary Ellison.
Yeah, I would just say, relative to the sign, it blew down a few days ago, but it was up for a good bit of the time it was supposed to be. So just to address Andy's point.
Yeah, I hear you, Marvin. It was up almost like we should have done. And I don't need to, get too, I'm not trying to be too aggressive about this, but I just feel it's a big deal to me, and I feel like we should do it correctly, that's all. And weather was a big part of it, I'm sure.
Thank you, Marvin. I think to address Mr. Sherman's, one of his points, you were nodding, Liz, you were nodding about they're planning on.
Two-side screening.
So to be clear, the resolution or the agreement with the property owners requires the screening on the back end of Mr. Sherman's property, as well as the neighbors, the Beccas to the next to them as well. So
the back end,
it's the back end
going in, and then the
yes,
field is on the other side of the
that has to
screening,
happen.
right?
And it's just, there's no design for that, it's just in the concept of
It
screening.
will look for mostly evergreens so that it's screening all year long. There might be, we've talked about fruit trees or different things, but the majority of it will be screening trees that are meant to be screening
And then
trees.
what about a fence? Because he mentioned something about a fence and people wandering through.
So the fence, I believe he was talking about on the one side, if there's not an agreement in place right now for a fence in the back end, but that might be something later on we can work through.
Yeah, I see. Mr. Sherman's got it.
In regards to the Design Connect, the Design Connect process is done.
Yeah.
Their semester is finished, so
No,
they've
that's not
moved on. They're on to different projects. That concept plan is available again on the website, so you can take a look. As well as, so that's just the first step. But just a reminder, as Neil said, this right now is the subdivision of a plat. So we're looking, like, I understand that they're related, but this specifically is subdividing this plat with the variance on it. So that's what we're in front of you now for.
Yeah, but we can't subdivide the 5 statutory requirements that we have. So we can say it's just about this, but it's not. It's about all the 5 components that we always have to consider. Environment and neighborhood and all that stuff. Okay. So I'm not arguing with you. Mr. Sherman, did you want to respond to something?
Yes, just to clarify, I'm talking that we would expect a fence along the road and across the back of our property. I think fruit trees are probably a terrible decision because that draws people to the property line. Evergreen screening, I think, would be probably the best in combination with a fence. But the last thing you want is people not understanding where property lines are and somebody wandering onto private property.
Thank you.
Can we stipulate a fence on the backside of their property with this, if we approve this variance?
Can we? I think it falls under our purview for sure.
So what's
Yeah,
the,
that would address the.
right now they have it, the wording is just the screen.
Vegetative screen.
Yeah.
Looking up the exact.
It's a screen.
And the thing I would comment on about screening, because I've done it, I think, somewhat successfully with my property, is that it's worth recognizing that if you want the screen that you want right now, it is going to be extremely costly. But if you have a 10-year plan and you get started as soon as possible, it's very economical. I did it the economical way, but it took about 10 years, starting with little, 80-cent seedlings. And it took about 10 years to get them to 10 feet tall, approximately. So that would be a reason I would think to move as quickly as possible with the screening process, so that you don't have to, buy trees that cost $1,000 each in order to have the screening.
Huge difference. Thank you.
So right now, it looks like the agreement specifically says if grantee erects a fence along the portion of the western boundary of parcel B of the premises, said boundary being noted as proposed new division line between parcel B and remaining lands of the Pritz. So this is the land. Then we would have a 3-foot pedestrian gate so that they'd have access to it. Grantee shall maintain trees native to Tompkins County, reasonable and adequate to obstruct the view of the property's use as a public park along the portion of property between a point, I'm not gonna read the legal description, but it's the end, the boundary between the Shermans, the Veccas, and the land.
So right now, there's not a requirement for a fence.
It says if.
I did. What?
It's an if.
Says if.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
It says if there is a fence, there has to be.
That's pretty
Where are we, Andy?
Well, if we could, go a little ways towards satisfying the next door neighbor by agreeing to having a fence along the backside as well. I think that,
But that would they take care of your other issues too? Drainage?
yeah, I think we've got to have to deal with the drainage, and I have a lot of faith in our town highway division, planners, our government here to do it correctly. But it's either, it doesn't have to be porous asphalt. As far as I'm concerned, I like it, but my experience with it has been different than others. And but there have to be something. I like the berm or bioswale.
So talk me through the berm. So if you have a berm there, isn't it just keeping water on one
It
side?
can, you're right, it can push water on one side, but generally it'll, you're shooting water off the narrow. I've built, there's a park near the science center, and that was a lay down construction, so totally built concrete and junk. And, we built a park in there, and it was so compacted that, I built berms with a skeleton of large cobbles, and then smaller gravel, and then topsoil, and then trees, and you can build berms that will.
But don't you have, doesn't the
The
land
water
just
will
slope into
go
the
in,
berm?
it'll percolate in, and then, be transpired when the trees are transpired, and pump back into the atmosphere. It's pure H2O.
Seems like that would take a lot of width that we don't have.
Yeah,
Doesn't swales seem like a much better solution?
Swales require maintenance. I have a lot of experience with berms and swales. And I can tell you, berms require much less maintenance than swales. And if they're built correctly, they're not going to sheet the water off in either direction. It's going to perk in and into the tree roots.
So what about the water on the road though? I'm still thinking.
Yeah, then you've got water, right. You've got an asphalt pavement with water in it. Where's that going still? And I guess that's a French drain. I don't know. Porous asphalt, I don't know. Something. Catch basins. I don't know.
You can have a pond in it.
Right.
I don't want a pond, that's liability insurance, I don't want to touch, but
do.
you could do in rain gardens and stuff that we could direct the water to. There's green options.
Yeah.
These are all
Anyway,
good plans.
that's where I'm at.
If you showed us this and this is what we're planning on doing, it'd be like, yes, this is great. This is really great. So right now we're just saying, these are our aspirations and we're hoping to do this. And so I'm just a little stuck, like where to go from here. I thought you were gonna bring us on home, Jonathan, with words, the words that are gonna be the magic words.
Oh, for the performance criteria.
Yeah, yes.
I sort of feel like we're one cog in this whole process. And what you just said, that we have to trust some of the other events that are going to take place to get us to the home run, to the home stretch. And that I'm kind of feeling like we need to take action and then let the planning board do its thing, and let the conversations with the neighbors work out with the best intent of the town to satisfy their wishes, and trust that everybody's going into this with the best intentions, and that we'll get a good result. To try to get everything figured out now before we approve it seems impossible.
What do you think about a fence that, the property owner is asking for, on the north side?
I think if we can do that.
That was an easy one.
That's pretty easy.
That's
Yeah.
a very low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And I think the timing of the plantings need to be considered because we'll have a window of opportunity here, like April, May, early June. And then if you miss that, particularly planting evergreens, I think you'll have to wait until late September, early October.
That's not up to us, but you're saying the timing, like to get things moving.
Right, like, cause like I said, I expressed the concern that I want to ensure that this screening, which doesn't sound like it's been specified, is going to be of adequate height to achieve its goal by the time you have people coming in and out. And if you delay it even a season, you're losing potentially a foot of height.
Yeah, right. I hear you, but also I don't see us getting stuff planted this spring, maybe in the fall, you know. But I know that the Tree Advisory Council, if it still exists, it going forward in the near future, because we're talking about rolling that into another committee, possibly like a natural areas committee. But I know that some of those members have talked about tree planting on specifically on Cold Springs Road, and they're like, we don't want to recommend any tree planting that's going to get cut down then in the future. We want to see a plan before we make recommendations about species. We want to see soil conditions and you know, things like that. And just I think that what I've heard from members of my committee are that they're reluctant to recommend you know, species and timing and, you know, cultivars that might be more suitable than the straight species, things like that they have a lot of knowledge in, until there's more of a plan, because you need to see something planted and then ripped out and moved.
And, you know, one significant consideration that I don't remember, even though having toured the property, whether there's any black walnuts within 50 feet of that property line, because
there are black walnuts and black locusts there.
Because that will
have to be removed, I think.
That will be, but even if you remove them, the roots run so far, you generally cannot get most evergreens to grow within the drip line of the black walnut tree.
Right. And some species are resistant and can tolerate
which evergreen.
So, and the juglans can last in the soil for a period of time.
And it doesn't affect all things.
Most of it comes from fruit and leaves and twigs and stuff, rather than being exuded through the root system. But that brings me to another point I forgot about, and I think some of these trees they're close to the property line. They may even straddle it. And maybe Tyler can answer this question better than me, but if he thinks that some of them, what happens to a tree that's partly on somebody's property and partly on somebody else's? In New York State, I think it's jointly owned. And so that, you know, maybe that tree can't be removed. And there's certainly black walnuts, like, and black locust all in it. Looks like a lot of trees would have to be removed for this road. And so, you know, it's a tree section between the two properties.
And if black walnuts are close to the road, they're a liability too, because in the fall, they're like baseballs falling from the skies.
You don't have to get the shucks off. Did they get run over?
I think. So we would never cut a tree down that's anywhere close to property without coordination of the property owner.
That'd be good.
So that's something that has been brought up before by the Shermans.
So they know that there's probably some trees.
There's some, and there might be some overhangs. We don't want to cut down any trees unless we're talking with the landowner. And unfortunately, right now, I can't say when it to come down. There will be some trees cut down. I'm hoping none of them are on any other property than the Princess, but I can't say that one way or not because they have a design. So there's ways to minimize within the 28 feet that we have there. We can have some flexibility to try to minimize the tree removal as best we can with all the understandings.
Liz, or Caitlin, do we know if there are any trees that are on the property line?
I don't know if that's been surveyed yet. There was a survey done, but
the property owner may know. He has his hand up.
Yeah, so the only trees on the property line I'm aware of are a few pine trees right on the property line with Tyler. They're pine trees, so they may want to just stay there. because they're almost in the position where we want them
Right.
anyway. The larger trees, the locust and the black walnut, are all on our side of the property line.
So
What
that
kind of
could be
pine?
something with the fence, we can move it in a little bit.
Didn't say anything about the
And leave the
drainage
pines
or-
there.
No, you don't want to.
No,
I didn't.
Yeah, and to Marvin's, excuse me, sorry, but to Marvin's point, there is a whole row of trees there that are pretty much on the property line, that obviously we'd love to leave because that's what we're trying to accomplish with the screening going forward if this is to go forward. But then you're also talking about putting the fence on the property line. So, these are pretty substantial trees that, their branches go out 4 or 5 feet from the bottom. So are we just skinning these trees up one side and putting a fence right next to that? Or, there's some considerations there for sure, because we definitely want to keep what we have because it's one less cost and it's already substantial and, what we're trying to accomplish as far as screening goes.
I wouldn't cut the lower limbs. To do it.
No.
No, we, like
So
I
always
said,
a
we can
mistake.
move in a
Mistake.
foot or two. We can put the berm there, additional plantings. There's flexibility within the 28 feet to minimize these impacts and maximize the screening.
So I'd like to.
These
do
are all
this discussion.
factors that make it also clear that having a design now is completely impractical because there's individual site conditions that are gonna, things have to be tailored to the specifics of the.
yeah. I know, and that's part of my.
I'm tasking at hand, our task at hand then is to come up with something, and Cheryl wrote some words. But, and I thought it was pretty easy to say fence and a fence along the.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's an easy one.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the words are for stormwater maintenance or some kind of appropriate words for that. And I would be in favor of putting a condition on this right now.
Yeah, okay, so that the driveway and parking lot perform in a way that
Either maximizes or minimizes, which one do you want to say?
that deals with stormwater in a way that it's, this is part of, I think, what some of the code stuff now too, that stormwater is dealt with on site in a way that it is infiltrates into the
Maximizing
the ground.
infiltration is what I like to say something.
That's
like that.
right. Yeah. Well, all stormwater water. This is a thing that is with probably knows also that all stormwater has to be dealt with on site.
On site.
For any,
that.
any new construction projects.
Yes.
Well,
Which basically means that you can't shove it off to
That's right.
somewhere else in a ditch.
when
where
they do
it
it at
is.
the town level, they can do it at the town level.
That's right.
Even down.
So that means that if it has to be dealt with on site, then it has to infiltrate. That's all we need. But that's kind of a requirement already, so.
It
That's
is.
all that, yeah, so we don't really need to say it.
That's what the state requires.
Yeah.
We'll
So,
have to demonstrate that with our stormwater pollution prevention.
yeah. So I think that one we can take down the table. It's good. The road is fencing, I think.
What?
You got the words?
I just had my head review. I have a fence will be built on both sides of the Sherman's property affected by the project. Pine trees near property line will be kept wherever possible, which I just added, because he said there's pine trees.
Mhm.
The town will employ the most environmentally friendly materials and methods possible, including vegetative screening in addition to fences. Does that kind of catch a general idea without being too-
I don't think you need to put that in addition to fence.
You can say green infrastructure.
What?
You can say green infrastructure, which would tie stormwater in. Are worried about that at all.
Don't add vegetative screening in addition to fences.
No, in addition to, Jonathan said he didn't need to say. in
Oh, don't
addition,
say.
it's in the sentence.
Otherwise, yeah.
And we're not saying anything. All right. I mean, that's pretty general. But it kind of got the things that we
Karen, you
seem
okay
to
with
settle on.
Yep.
Andy?
Yep.
So we're really not, that we talked about, one, the sign, I think that Marvin addressed that nicely. As you said, we almost did that.
It's been a rough couple weeks.
Yeah, it's hard to.
But I understand what you're saying, Andy. Yes, we want to be a good role model for everybody else to follow.
Usually good. Yeah, this is not a fault thing. This is like, well, yeah, it has to be notified. But we've been dealing with this for a long time in the other hand, so lots of the public has been in here.
Sure.
You coming in and wanting to talk and so I think they've been dealing with these guys a lot. So we're not saying anything about the road construction. We're just gonna say something about best management practices, or not even. Nothing. Yeah, I think, you're in the trust your neighbors kind of.
Well, I just feel like there's enough process that's built into the site plan review and all, and the requirements that.
I don't think this hurts anything. That is saying like our intent, kind of. It's not really holding anyone down to anything if you just say something about environmentally friendly, especially say as much as is possible, because then they can decide what's possible for them.
Yeah,
right.
That's
I think that's good.
And if I am going to list one thing, is vegetative screening the thing that we care about? It seems like it kept coming up. Trees.
I think it's just we want to make sure it's evergreen so that they are screening trees and not.
4 season.
Yeah. I mean, that was the intent of our discussions with the land.
All right. Well, I can
if you
just leave
want
it. I don't need to add more details if no one else does.
But if you want to
vegetative,
burn that up, that's okay.
Okay. Good there. I think we're ready for someone who wants to take this on. Put a resolution. Ready to put the resolution up? Cheryl?
Niels has a question.
Niels.
Yeah, thanks. Just a point of order. Did the board decide that you're continuing the hearing until next month, or did you decide that you're done with the hearing?
Now, I think we've kind of decided that we're not continuing the hearing.
Okay. So have you closed the public portion of the hearing and you're moving forward with it?
I did, but I will do that again. Just want to say the public portion of the hearing is now officially closed. I think I may have done it earlier and let people talk anyway. So is there a motion regarding the variance request? And who wants to take that on? And you're looking very eager, Cheryl.
I'm not.
You have those words.
So do we just add in the
all right, you guys have to contribute language.
We have to read it.
You're going to contribute language
Yes.
here and there?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
All right, I move that we no, what kind of time? How to say that? We move what? I just move this, right?
The resolution that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. Considering all of the statutory factors set forth above, the Board of Zoning Appeals finds the following. Number one, the benefit to the applicant in granting the area variance to reduce the minimum required width of the pole portion of the lot from 50 feet to 38 feet for proposed parcel B will outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Number two, the granting of the area variance will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not be a detriment to nearby properties.
Is that where we put in the language?
Yeah, I think that we do it as many times as needed, and I think we need it here, right? On the conditions of approval.
Upon?
No, whatever. Hey, Niels, will you help us with this? You always come up with a good one. About conditions of approval.
You can always, I mean, if you're deferring to the conditions of approval, you can just say for at the end of number 2, subject to the conditions of approval.
And then put the conditions for approval for
Later on, that's at the very end.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. And then we can refer to that as we go along.
Okay, so subject to the conditions of approval.
Yes, okay, good.
Number 3, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. They have stated there is no other entrance to this property.
There was, of course, there was, the farmer got in through that green gate that's further down the road a little ways. So there was another way into there. But I agree, it's not available anymore.
Who owns that property?
Maybe Derlin?
That's different.
That would cross 2 other property owners.
Yeah, that's a different property owner.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Number 4, the requested area variance is substantial. It's approximately 25% of the requirement.
Mhm.
Did you say it's not
It is.
substantial?
No, it's-
No, thanks.
Number 5, the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, subject to the conditions of approval. And careful execution by the town. Number 6, the alleged difficulty is self-created. Number 7, the proposal will not create a third parcel for the pole lot separate from the overall flag lot. Rather, proposed parcel B is a single lot that comprises a pole portion and a flag portion. Therefore, a condition as recommended by county planning is not warranted. For the reasons set forth above,
Can I ask a question about that number 7, Niels? That's a new thing for me.
yeah,
Mark,
that's I don't know why we have to put that in our thing, but I guess we do.
I like it. I actually, everyone, I like this.
Okay.
But I wonder why it's in there.
So that's in there because the county said that there was not going to be any countywide impacts, but they made a recommendation that as part of the condition of approval, you make it as a condition of approval that the pole portion of the lot would be combined with the flag portion of the lot. But under the town zoning regs, that already happens. That has to be that's not going to be a separate lot. Parcel B comprises a flag portion and a pole portion. It's one lot.
I mean, I like it. I like saying that. That's a good one. I just thought that's the new one on me. I've not seen that before.
For the reasons set forth above and upon the evidence, law, and facts, the BZA hereby does grant the area variance to reduce the minimum required width of the pole portion of the lot from 50 feet to 38 feet as described above and as shown on the plat map noted above as part of the proposed 2-lot minor subdivision located at 5230 Cold Springs Road and subject to the following conditions. Conditions of approval.
Yeah, that's good.
A fence shall be built on both sides of the Sherman's property affected by the project. Pine trees near the property line will be kept wherever possible.
Oh, I know you specified a specific property owner, but I think the original agreement was regarding 2 different properties that would be screened. So should it?
I was thinking that the Shermans are the ones that are kind of taking the biggest hits right next to their, with the driveway there. Right. And that's kind of what we're dealing with is the driveway. So I just focused on them.
Right.
Where was the other one? That was on the back side of the field?
No, so right next to the Shermans on the other side from the Pritz is it's a property owned by the Beccas. And resolution, or the donation agreement does specify that we have to provide vegetation screening on the back of their property as well.
Yeah, those already in your agreement that you have. You know.
Vegetative.
Yes, vegetation.
Caitlin has a hand up.
Caitlin,
Yes, the only thing I was going to say about that is that there already is a fair amount of there is vegetation. I think Marvin could speak to it if he's still on. There is some vegetation already in place behind the Vecca's house. And I would hate to lose that to put up something else, if that makes any sense, but maybe he could speak to that.
I wasn't gonna mention Becca's, and if no one else needs me to, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
no, all right, Caitlin.
I just wanted to make sure, even, you know, if that other property owner isn't here to speak, that assumptions, you know, aren't being made by them, that the same thing would be.
I think that was all written in the agreement initially, right?
Vegetation screening.
And they were involved in that? The other ones?
But we did it in this.
It's a very different situation though.
Yes.
I mean, if you stand in Tyler's backyard, you look out, it's just,
Correct.
you know,
It's
the
there.
rate,
It's
it's
the
right
continuation
there,
of your
right?
backyard,
If
right?
you're in Becker's backyard, it's not the
There's
same.
more screening back there already.
Okay, I have one more condition. The town shall employ the most environmentally friendly materials and methods possible, including vegetative screening, unless we don't care about vegetative screening, then I can take that. Are you in?
I know what you're going for, but when we say the most environmentally possible, I don't know what that is. You
No,
know
it
what I
doesn't
mean?
matter though. We went through
That's
all the
all, that,
possibilities.
that could be, well, wait a minute, this is possible and it's even better, you know, but it costs millions of dollars, you know.
Feasible, is it?
Well, if it costs millions of dollars, it probably isn't
Fees-
possible.
Maybe,
It probably isn't possible then.
No,
They
feasible,
get to
maybe
decide.
feasible or something like that, but
yeah.
I don't mind it because
Is
it's,
feasible better? I can do feasible. Okay. Okay,
and then,
so.
you know,
and-
well, some of it is trust. We're trusting
And I'm still thinking about this fence along the back property boundaries. How is it going to end and keep people out without them walking around it?
I think
Is
it's
there
just
gonna-
it's the,
Is it going to go up against several large trees that would be sufficiently?
I think it's
creating a
defining the
border.
corner. It's defining the corner well enough so that people have all the information they need to know where not to go.
They do.
If they choose to go in there
They
anyway.
do. And
That's a
balls
torpid
can't
trick.
go into that because the fence will stop the balls going into their yard.
Well, I wouldn't trust that.
Trees
If you
and
look at the
in the fence.
concept plan, and again, it's the concept plan, the ball fields are on the other side.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
And all
so
along
are we done
where
with
the
our
fences-
thingy, or do
Well,
we
read
want
that
to take?
last thing again?
We don't usually take hands during the reading of
I'll
this.
take a hand from Marvin though. I'll
And
take
also, I mean, you should take both probably. I just don't know if we're allowed to do that.
No, I'm allowed to do it.
Okay.
Marvin, I'd like to hear from you, please.
There's a huge amount of honeysuckle vegetation behind Becca's house. And then on the west side of the property too, it's really super thick. So if you just ran a fence down the south side to hit the west, it's almost impenetrable.
Okay,
So there's just point of clarification.
Thank you.
thank you. Put some nice buckthorn up there, get some triangular.
Surprised you haven't pulled it out already.
Privet, we'll have some privet in there too. Thank you, Marvin. Mr. Sherman, you have something very brief to say? Because I think we're done with this discussion.
Yeah, I know the public portion was over, so that's why I raised my hand just in case. But
Yeah, fine.
I don't want to speak for the Veccas, but you know, in all of our conversations, I'm pretty sure that they were under the same assumption I was of a fence being all the way across the back, blocking from the park.
Thank
They
you.
haven't reached out to us.
What?
We haven't been able to talk to them.
You heard that though, right?
Yep.
Okay. Will you read that again, please?
The whole thing?
Just the last,
Subject,
the best possible,
The
whatever.
can you read both conditions, please?
Okay. Conditions of approval. A fence shall be built on both sides of the Sherman's property affected by the project, period. Pine trees near the property line will be kept wherever possible. I should say existing pine trees, I guess, or whatever.
Mhm.
And the town shall employ the most environmentally friendly materials and methods feasible
environmentally friendly, what was it?
Materials
Materials
and methods feasible, including vegetative screening. Oh, vegetative screening and. Never mind.
You want something else in there?
I don't feel like doing any more word smithing. Okay.
And what?
No, it's not soaking up water or whatever, but
No, for the water, yeah, but you guys have convinced me that it's in
you
there
said a good
anyways.
word before.
It's gonna be in there, right?
Has to be,
Okay,
has to be dealt with on site.
I like that.
cool. Do you want to read any of that back to us to see if we got, because obviously we can't fix it once it's in the draft minutes, so.
A fence shall be built on both sides of the Sherman's property affected by the project. Existing pine trees will be kept wherever possible. Did I get that?
Existing pine trees near the property line, I've said, which we just heard about tonight, but seemed like an important thing to not mess up.
Okay, so existing pine trees near the property line will be kept wherever possible. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The town shall employ the most environmentally friendly materials and methods feasible, including vegetative screening.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to be a pedantic jerk, Marvin, but are those, what kind of pine trees are those? Are they really pine or should we say conifer?
I'm pretty sure they're pine, I'm pretty sure they're spruce.
We can switch it to evergreen.
I think
That's not
they're,
pine.
I think they're spruces, so,
Spruce.
but they're in the same
Right.
No,
family.
Don't start.
Switch pine to evergreen, yeah.
No, I just don't like the pine tree thing.
Yeah, why don't we say evergreen?
Evergreen.
I did.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Marvin.
Thank you, Marvin.
We're so well intended. Okay. So, and there was, did you, were you
Okay.
able to hear the other parts?
Yeah,
Or
I
should
think
we
I
read
want to
that?
hear those again. So just start from number one, if you don't mind reading those off. We didn't really change much of anything.
You mean her?
So
or me?
can I make just one quick
Me?
comment?
I mean, I just wrote.
It just occurred to me that whether we were to approve this variance or not, all of these things are things that we would want anyway. So it's kind of nice that we're getting the chance to put these in, whether there was a 50-foot, you know, right, like it's still, all these things are,
Yeah, there's always that.
right?
And
we
people
need to
say,
get a
well,
chance
you
to
know, if
sit
I didn't do
and say,
this, well, if I didn't do that, you wouldn't be
So,
here. We
I
wouldn't get anything
think,
to
you
say.
know, all of this is good, that,
Yeah, we're not the only arbiters of well-wish, good.
yeah.
I think we can trust, as you said, let's trust our fellow citizens and the boards and all that. Everyone's trying to do the right thing here. I just would like to go over those couple words. Where were they? So number one was will,
Yes.
okay, and number two was will not.
Mhm.
And then those number two had subsequent to,
Subject to conditions of approval.
no, subject to, sorry.
I think number one should have that too. Shouldn't it? No, never mind, sorry.
No,
Okay, go ahead.
health, safety and welfare, no, right, okay, number three was what, can
Cannot.
not, thank you.
And then I said something like they stated, didn't we put in,
You said something about they have stated there is no other. I didn't get to
Entries.
that. Entrance.
entrance to the property? Is that okay?
It's okay, I mean, I kind of really looked at that a lot, so that's true too. Number four was is.
Yeah.
Substantial, yes, of course. You didn't add to that, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
You said 25% or something?
Approximately. I said
It was approximately 25% of requirement.
That's not correct.
it's not. What is
That's
it?
not the right word.
38.
No, it's not the right percentage.
75%.
It's right.
Yeah, 25% is being
But you did.
a variance. What?
It's not 25% of the requirement.
The variance is for 25% of the requirement. Isn't it? Okay, what is it? 12 over what?
38 divided by 50. 76%.
Okay, so 24% is the variance is 24%.
Well, you gotta be careful with the words,
You
though,
gotta
because
say it
we've
the
done
right
this
way.
a bunch of times, right?
Oh.
So,
Are you like which one?
yeah, which one are you gonna use in this sentence?
Okay,
I wrote 24%.
we're allowing a variance for 24% of the requirement, right? Yeah.
Or 76%.
No, that would be taking off 76%. We're only
No.
taking off 24%.
We're allowing.
Does that make sense to you? Okay.
Get the words right.
Okay,
Listen, I don't agree with either one of these sentences. Know the words.
Let's just leave it out. We don't need it. It's right there, that's 38.
Okay, leave it out.
Just leave it
Cross that out.
That way we don't mess it up.
Okay.
What I think that we always say is it requires, it requires,
24%
24%
reduction.
less reduction from the.
That would be fine.
from the sentence. You say that.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm okay with not even saying
Okay.
anything.
What's the decision? Not say anything?
No, we're fine.
No, if you want to put it, that's fine. As long as you say 25% reduction. If that's what
You
it
gotta
is.
finish that sentence.
What is it? Like, what
Yeah,
is
let's
it?
leave it off.
From
Leave
the
it off.
setback.
Leave it off, leave it off.
Of the mandated width of the flagpoles, but you gotta finish that sentence.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I think
5,
that's the only one we ever agreed on.
the proposed area variance
Like, yeah.
will not. Right, 5 is will not.
Will not.
Oh, sorry.
You added subject to conditions of approval
Yep,
Mhm.
and careful execution of the town.
full execution by the town.
By the town.
Is there a little
Six
and in there?
What's that?
Is there a little and in there?
Subject to conditions of approval and careful execution by the town.
Thank you.
And 6 is self-created, because what isn't?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're done.
Yeah, so then you have it does, and then your statements.
Home free.
Conditions of approval, you're gonna say, that's the beginning of that sentence, right?
We already went over that. Oh,
I mean, I'm not sure you, tell me how you started that.
I said
Oh, yeah, that's it.
at the end of that, I said,
Just a separate thing saying conditions of approval, right there,
okay.
colon.
But at the end of this, I said something that I thought worked, but I don't know.
I wouldn't continue that, I would go.
Okay.
Then separate conditions of approval. So separate that out, Lori, if you don't mind.
Where?
Conditions of approval is like a separate,
Under the
smaller paragraph under everything.
located at 5230 Cold
Yes.
Spring Road.
Mhm.
It's got conditions
Yeah,
of
and then-
approval. Yes. And then 2
Space it out so that it
conditions.
says conditions of approval, and we can underline it.
Yes.
Okay, so that is my motion.
Okay, I want to entertain any, we've had discussion, and go any more discussion on this?
I would just continue to express some concern about explicitly specifying the current property owner's name, because
Me
to me,
too.
that property could change owners. It might be better to specify the
About
address.
the address, yeah.
But also, I'm wondering, I understand that the adjacent property owners haven't expressly stated they want a fence, but I think there's been clear understanding that there will be screening. That's in the agreement. Maybe it'd be better to have wording, that specifies that by some certain date and time, there will be screening that meets some definition of screening, which, like I said, is a little bit vague.
Except for the very non-vague specification of time. I don't think I've come to that.
We could say visual screening, no.
I mean, I guess, the concern is that one, I think it should be named by address rather than owner,
I
because
agree.
that is very non-specific, and in a year, you never know
I
that
agree.
that person may not own the property.
It's a good point.
Do we know that number to put in?
And
Yes.
Come on.
and then the other properties, similarly, there might be more thick vegetation, but
And it's also not affected by this driveway that we're talking about. So I just don't feel like it was part of this, part of our problem. I'm sure they'll work it out with them.
well, I guess, yeah, that's a good point, that maybe it's not directly
Yeah, that's
impacted
the
by the
field.
variance,
That's
but
the field.
but I
That's
guess
not-
I would express that the town should do everything reasonable to work with both neighbors to ensure that, there isn't trespassing onto private property.
That 100% is what we're gonna talk to all of them.
Yeah, I think we just threw this fence thing in because it asked for it explicitly and he was here and all that. I mean, it just seemed like a goodwill gesture.
But I think you do have to be careful to make sure the town is treating affected property owners equitably. And, it's true, the property adjacent to the driveway is absolutely more impacted. But along that back border, I think we just want to make sure that it's considered a equitable specification.
So
Is this-
the addresses are 5250, and then if you're gonna include the Becca's as well, that's 5270.
But I think a point can be made that our responsibility is regarding the variance, and it is somebody else's responsibility perhaps to deal with the properties that are also impacted, even surrounding neighbors that aren't directly touching the border can be impacted by various things that I think it would be most appropriate for the town to try to mitigate.
So that's your statement. You're saying that verbally to the town right now.
You're on
Right.
record.
Yes.
I don't feel comfortable writing any or most of that in what
It'll
we're
be in the
doing.
meeting minutes. Or it could be in the meeting minutes, but not the resolution.
Are you saying it should go in this resolution as an amendment? Or-
Well, I think the most important thing is not to specify a current property owner name, because
Agreed.
that,
Okay, so a fence
Change.
shall be built on both sides of the property at 5250 Cold Springs Road that are affected by the project.
Mhm.
You can say consideration for a fence along the backside of 5270. In discussions with landlord, if you wanted to.
Well, did you want to do that too? Add that too?
I didn't really
In
hear.
consideration for, 5250, and you could put in consideration for. I just don't think we want to go too far afield from this.
Yeah, I don't.
It's not our purview,
For me, it's getting out of our,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's already putting one on the back
I
of
feel
our.
uncomfortable with starting to go far afield, neighborhood and all that. We did cover the neighborhood in one of our statutes, right? That affect the parts of the neighborhood. as well. Two. Yeah, number two, yeah.
I've expressed my concerns.
I know, I just don't know what that action suggesting what the. I got it. I hear you loud and clear. I like the address thing for sure.
Okay,
That's
so
easy fix.
the address is definitely changing. Yeah, I don't know what to say about the other part.
I'm looking for words.
In the agreement right now, is there, does it explicitly say fence along the driveway?
Yeah.
That's the back and the driveway?
No,
It just says if a fence is installed.
Okay, so there's no fence mentioned, other than that, the if.
Even along the driveway.
along the driveway.
I mean, our intent is to do.
All right, let's just change this to fence along the driveway, and then we don't have to worry about.
No, we're
back.
trying to respond to the backside of the yard, to the Mr. Sherman's.
It's not really.
What was the language you just said about adding?
I just, if you were gonna include the back of 5250, which is owned by the Shermans.
I mean, if you want to
You
be
want to
consistent with the
consideration.
agreement, it's-
Also
Yeah,
consideration
Consideration of, you said.
in consultation with the landlord,
With
with the owner
other
of 5250.
impacted landowners.
All right, someone write the thing and then.
You had the 52, you had the number there, right?
Yep.
And
That shall be built on both
continue that
sides.
sentence by saying, and consideration of. other-
Fencing,
And consideration for a fence at 5270 Cold Springs Road in consultation with the property owner.
The fence shall be built
Yeah.
on both
Yeah.
sides of the property at 5250 that are affected by the project and there shall be consideration of,
Yes, good.
and there shall be consideration of, go ahead, finish that. What is it?
Your words were good.
Hers? Anyone?
Consideration of extending the fence behind 5270
In consultation
Cold
with the property.
Springs Road in
In
consultation with
with the
the.
property
Okay,
that sounds good.
If it were me, I would say, no, don't be putting a fence on there, so don't, I mean, you need to consult.
Right.
Okay, so I was gonna have a problem with that.
okay, can you read that back to us, Liz?
A fence shall be built on both sides of the property at 5250 Cold Springs Road affected by the project. Do you want that there? I'm not sure. So
Both sides, yeah, where does that little clause go?
You could just say the size of the property affected.
say it again.
And then where do we
Just
put?
just get rid of both, the size of the property affected
Okay.
by the project.
A fence shall be built on sides.
The size.
A fence shall be built on the sides of the property affected at 5250 Cold Springs Road. And there shall be consideration of extending the fence at 5270 Cold Springs Road in consultation with the property owner.
One change, read that again.
A fence shall be built on the sides of the property affected at 5250.
Affected by the project.
Yeah, I think you can put the by the project back in there, or that's what.
Can we read it again?
Sure.
A fence shall be built on the sides of the property affected by the project at 5250 Cold Springs Road, and there shall be consideration of extending the fence at 5270 Cold Springs Road in consultation with the property owner.
Excellent.
Existing evergreen trees near the property line will be kept wherever possible.
Yes. Nice.
That sounds good.
Yes.
Property line or lines? Lines.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Everybody good? All right, so I think the motion, what do we do here? Just call the vote now? We're ready.
We need
We're
a
ready,
second,
right?
don't we? We need a second.
Yeah, we do.
Second.
We have a second. Good. All right, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. And the motion carries with the conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate the discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Thanks, Marvin. Thanks, Mr. Sherman.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, it was worth the extra time to avoid the other time we're gonna be spending in the future. Thank you, Niels. Anything else for you?
I'll go here. No, Thank you.
All right, I don't know, did you hear what I said earlier? I don't think I want to talk about vice chair until I talk specifically to the individuals who might be willing or unwilling to do it.
Yep. And we can postpone that. Currently, we don't have anything for March, so might have something in April though.
Okay. All right, great. Excellent. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Yes, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion's adjourned. Thanks all, really, good job.
Thank you.